This is the Café con Podcast.
Noise. I'm Isaac.
George.
And this is
Café con Podcast.
Café con Barras.
Café con Podcast.
Oh my goodness, peeps. This episode,
Peeps. Listen,
peeps.
because
Wow.
this is one of those ones.
This is one of those ones that stands out. It just had everything, bro.
Everything.
We have the incomparable, undeniable, the wise, the giving,
Hometown legend. I'd say that, bro. If you're in a movie like that, for us, you're home, no matter what role you're in,
Juanito,
and because you're from here,
yeah.
and the fact that movie was made here, you're a
de mi
hometown legend. In my
hogar.
book.
This dude is de la raíz, de la sangre, bro. Roberto Sanchez. He is an esteemed actor. You've seen him. He's on Running Point on Netflix. He was in Dexter. He was Handsome Tony Ferrer. He was in Too Fast, Too Furious. He's been in so many things. And aside from that, the man that he is I learned so much just from listening to him talk and having this conversation. And at the very end, it gets so poignant and so honest and vulnerable. And he just opens up so much and talks about mental health, which I think is very important. And George and I have spoken about this on the podcast before, about the importance of having a place where male relationships can go to vent, to get things off their chest, to say, you know, I'm not okay, right? There's that fine line of that and pushing on and being able to realize your strength and carry forward, but there is still that portion of time in which, you know, you got to go and talk to somebody to help you. So it was beautiful. It was just an unbelievable episode. I mean, what I took from it was putting things in the proper perspective in terms of your day. You know, your day's a lot bigger than one event. Your life is a lot bigger than an audition. You know, I loved what he said when when he walked into an audition room, and when he'd go in there, he'd go, you know what the biggest part of my day is? I'm doing chest and triceps today. It's not about this audition. I'm doing chest and triceps. So I'm going in there and I'm showing them what I mean, I'm super prepared. Don't get that twisted. I'm ready to go. This is how I see it. This is how I'm going to do it. Thank you guys so much. Dip. And then I'm going to go do the most important part of my day, which is chest and triceps. So he talked a lot about how certain things have revolutionized his perspective and moving forward in this industry. And somebody's been in the game for 23 years, I believe he said. Which
I think that was going to say, too, for it to still be doing it.
23 years, bro.
Still be doing it, that's a testament of itself.
You can learn a lot from this man. An incredible human being. Incredible. And just hug your parents, man. If you're lucky enough to have a good relationship with your parents, with your loved ones, whoever are those loved ones in your life, just please hug them and tell them you love them and that you're grateful for them, because that's something this episode really reminded me for me. So what did you take from this episode?
It was cool to talk someone back from home, and he still has that element of him, even though he's been in LA for some time now. You know, just with the lingo or the energy, the mindset of still remembering like the lineage of where his family came from. And just really, it was cool for him to like reflect on how he got to this point. I mean, we talk about that a lot, obviously, right? I'm not trying to sound repetitive, but with just the moments of him just being like, I'm gonna go do it, you know, and we'll figure everything out when we get there. But I'm just gonna put my best foot forward and step out and try things, you know, like. We look back now, like you said, like it's easy to analyze things backwards, but you got to live life forwards. Like he told us in the moment, he was like, I didn't know what Too Fast and the Furious was. Look, a movie about cars. But he listened to what he kept saying, you know, that little thing on your shoulder that's like, bro, when are you going to do it? You know, when are you going to do it? It reminded me a lot of the movie Birdman, when like the alter ego keeps talking to him. And it's like, it gets to a certain point where he can't ignore it anymore. Right? So... Not now, Bella.
That's a pretty good analogy.
But I think, too, of him, like, really taking into account what his agent was trying to tell him. And he's like, do this. You got to do this. Like, you know, and then the moment his agent, like, was on the phone with him and he was working the metro rail.
Yeah.
And he was just like, fuck everything that's happening right now. You know, this is this thing again. It's time to have a conversation with this thing here and answer to the call. So that was cool.
He's an amazing man, dude. It was just
Amazing.
incredible.
Super cool.
Please make sure you stick around to the end for this one, because trust me, it is worth it. It is worth it. It is worth it at the end.
Yeah, it got more deeper and more intentional at the end. We were kind of having fun in the beginning, talking about basketball. In particular,
We talked about basketball for like 30 minutes at the beginning.
We needed that. You
yeah,
know,
bro, it was
podcast,
amazing.
we always try to plug that in at the end of podcast. Yeah. I would love that we did in the beginning, you know, and we gave it its respects, you know, because we love sports.
Just enjoy this. We love you guys. We're grateful for you. If you need somebody, just reach out. You know, we just love you. We're just sending you love.
If anybody want to chat with us, come on down. Come on down. You don't gotta have the craziest story or the biggest thing going on in life. If you just want someone to listen, we're here.
Amen.
The liquid gold, baby.
Coffee review time.
I didn't even know we were recording stuff.
This is the time when we review the coffee. We're gonna review coffee right now.
Coffee.
That's the sound of the beans being poured out. So today, well, the day that we were doing this, because we're doing this intro posthumously, I was drinking Better Buzz Coffee Company out of San Diego. And I remember I had a mocha for this. I remember what the name of the coffee company was, because they had like this little sticker on the lid that said, "Life is better buzzed." I thought that was really funny and clever. And I really enjoyed my mocha. And it was a very good mocha with oat milk. I'm going to give that one an 8.2, an 8.1, 8.2. I'll stick to 8.2 because it really did me well. It made me vulnerable. I was able to listen. I was able to be present with you guys. And I'm probably going to plug Reverent Coffee Company again in the caption, because I just love Reverent Coffee, and that's what I usually drink. But in this particular instance, it was Better Buzz Coffee Company down in San Diego.
I think that was your second highest rating.
It's up there. I think I don't even remember what the first one was.
We both don't give much 8s.
No, we don't give much 8s. We're usually in the 7s. So that one
7s are great though, guys. Don't get us wrong. I feel like it's very similar to Stool President's reviews. Like people are like, "Why is he doing this?" and he's rating them so low. It's like he'll say it like, "These are good ratings." Like, you can't just give everything an 8 and 9. Then it's just like it's not special anymore. It gets watered down.
A high 7 is a great rating.
It's a great rating.
That's like, dude,
round it up while you're at it.
Yeah, if you're
we're
high
not going
7,
to, but you can.
Yeah, an 8 flat feels disingenuous. If I'm just like, this is an 8. I think, come on, bro. I can give like an 8.05.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not just an 8. Do you even remember what you drink? Oh, yeah, you drink your home coffee.
Yeah, I drink my home coffee. I'm trying to remember. I say 8.1.
I was like, gonna say 8 now.
it got me tapped in. It really got me tapped in.
It did.
I mean, it definitely helped the conversation we were having too. So
yeah, bro, it was great.
Sorry for guys. Like it starts getting dark in the space I'm in, because I just didn't want to get out of my seat, and I forgot to turn on the light, and then I forgot that we recorded at a later time of the day. And then 7 o'clock came around, and it looks like I'm like part of the dark side in Star Wars.
It was so funny. It was great. You just see the longer, if you guys want to have fun, just like fast forward a little bit, and George Michael will look like he's in 2 different places. It's the best. Just really enjoy this. Please grab your cafecitos. We hope you're enjoying your life and just doing good for yourself and for others. Enjoy this wonderful episode. We love you.
We made it. We made
it, baby. Everybody's good. Everybody's okay. We're all alive. Ya estamos aquí, bro. We're all good. Cheers. Gentlemen,
Sanchez.
Cheers.
Salud.
I'm gonna grab mine real quick. I left it on the table.
Of course you did. That's my dog.
Bro, come on.
But now we could start talking. I mean, we've already been talking, but anyways, bro, I do smoke cigars as well. I'll never forget my first. Well, from what I do remember, my first puff of a cigar was when I was like 4. You know?
Oh, shit.
My dad was just like, just put your mouth on it and breathe out. I was like, okay. So I did it, and when I was a little kid, I didn't like it. I do like cigars, bro, but I can't take like maduros or any intense flavors. I'll be honest. I'm a little bit of I'm a wimp when it comes to intense cigars. I love a nice mild cigar. Do you smoke cigars? I'm assuming you do.
I do. The same thing. I mean, I don't have an issue with the stronger ones, pero tú sabes, I always smoke the small Romero y Julietas
Oh, bro, I
because
love those.
I get the impression that if I smoke a big ass cigar, it's too much. So I buy these little ones that are like real small and skinny,
Yeah,
but then I'm
yeah,
smoking 5 or 6 of them a day.
yeah, dog.
So,
Which
but
I
but the
love those.
but the interesting thing about that is I had never really smoked until COVID, and that's when I started.
Really?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
prompted that?
The end of the world, bro. I don't fucking know, bro. It was just we were at such a weird place, bro, that I was like, I need to do something. I need to smoke cigars or something to
Yeah,
calm me
bro.
down or something. So
Yes, I completely understand. Do you know Perdomo? Do you know the brand Perdomo cigars? I don't know if you've
say,
heard of them. We went to school with the son of Perdomo, so he was
wow,
in our
nice.
grade. So I mean, like, my dad, goes to his factory. It's right off 826. I'm pretty sure it's still there. And
Yeah, I passed by the other day.
and we had people work there and shit, whatever. And my dad will literally just come back with cases. He has great cigars. Shameless plug for
Wow,
Perdomo
nice.
cigars. Great, great, great. Yeah, dude, that was a weird time, man. My wife and I at that point. Well, actually, we started it. We got engaged and married. We got married in 2022. But we were eating cake like 4 times a week from Sweet Lady Jane's. We were drinking wine like every night, bro. I was like, fuck it. What do we do? We're just
Who cares? Yeah.
yeah. Who cares, bro? It was. I actually got into the best shape of my life in COVID. Also, I got into one of the worst shapes of my life, and then into one of the best shapes of my life during COVID. 'Cause I was
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
That's when Sky was doing hit workouts
yeah,
on Zoom, and she was doing them I was on them like 4 times a week.
yeah, bro.
Wow.
That's my wife. My wife is Sky. She's the.
But you know what, man? It's interesting because as man, when you think back about that time period, it was so fucking crazy. But believe it or not, some good things came out of that.
Oh, yeah.
Even what you guys are doing, I think that really started to pick up during COVID because you couldn't leave the house. So family members were getting on Zoom and reaching out to friends on Zoom and just chatting and just doing this and so I think some good things came out of it, man. It was some bad things, of course, but
I think, I mean, como con todo, bro, but like, I think that I agree with you, man. And I think one of the other things that came out that was, for me, I wish we still had a little bit of is like, people were so nice to each other. We were all like, what the fuck is happening? That, it was a lot nicer. But I think that also, actually, this is, man, we go on so many bunny trails also. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, actually, that I'm interested in what your perspective is. Do you think you need to be in LA right now, like still physically in LA to work? Because everything went extremely virtual. It was already heading that way,
Yeah.
in terms of self-tapes. I moved to LA when I was in 2016. So I was still going in rooms. I was like at the tail end of still going into rooms and meeting with people. But do you think you physically need to be in LA to not work there, but to garner that credibility and things like that, and the way that it used to be, where everybody would always say, you can't leave, you have to stay in LA, you can't leave, Do you think you still need to be physically in LA to work there?
Bro, you know what, man? It's changed so much, and I had a meeting the other day with my reps, and we were talking about how much the business has changed. And there was a time like when I first got here, man. They would do what they call go-sees, where you would go and just talk to a casting director. They had a certain time during their day when they would let you come in and meet you and talk to you. And now now it's gotten to the point where when they put out a casting notice and people start submitting their clients, they'll say on the emails, it's like, listen, submit your clients, but don't fucking call me to pitch them. Because they don't want you to pitch. They don't want you to do nothing. We've gone away from going into the room and it makes sense, I guess, because the time that it takes for people to drive there, then rent out a space if you're not in a studio, and the luxury that you can sit at home, they can sit at home, and watch 30 actors if they wanted to, but if they ran out of space, they might only be able to bring 10, 15. So I get it. I personally like it. I know that a lot of actors like to be in the room because they feed off of that, but I don't like people in general. That's just. I'm honest, bro. I live out in the fucking boonies, bro, because I want to get away from people. Leave me alone.
You don't have to say
But,
right
you know,
now,
I
but
get it.
I'm interested to where you live. You tell me later on where you live.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk about it now, but I want to know where, because we're like that too. So go ahead, continue.
But you know, it's the type of thing to say when of course when I got to meet people and socialize with people, I'm fine. But me personally, I like to be by myself. Leave me alone, that kind of thing. So yeah, I like to. You tell me, would you rather self tape or go in? I'd rather self tape. You know, I can self tape at 3 a.m. if I want. As opposed to driving in traffic and all these things. So the answer to your question, no, I don't think you need to be in LA. You need to be prepared to come if for some reason during a callback they want to actually see you. But brother, I really don't. I don't. You know, I'm about an hour outside of LA, and I cannot tell you the last time I went into a room for anything. I can't.
Beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I mean, I think that is something, that's the trend that's headed in that way too. You know, Sky and I talk all the time. Bro, we look, when we want to depress ourselves, we'll look on Redfin or Zillow at a house in LA, and it's like $1.4 million for a 1,200 square foot house, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. And I'm like, I'm not going to, for somebody else to be living right, like on top of you, right next to you. So LA is certainly, there's a lot of things that we love about it, but it's a lot for me personally. You know, it's a lot for me. I realize it's a necessary, I don't want to say necessary evil, because that's not how I see it. It's more of just like a necessary step. You just got to do what you got to do. But it certainly is a thing in which we're thinking about laying down roots. We've been together for 10 years. So, you know, we certainly are ready to start taking sort of those next steps in the journey. I don't think LA is that place for me. That's just me. The actual city of LA. But outside of it, like you're saying, an hour out. Thousand Oaks. Man, I love Thousand Oaks. You know, I'm down in San Diego right now. It's so beautiful here, bro. I went running with the dog earlier today, and I'm like, dude, I love this pace of life. It's just, I like my tranquilidad. I need peace. I need like a sanctuary when I go home. And sometimes LA is a little too much for me. You know, it's a little bit crazy. So
we were living in Santa Clarita. We bought a house there about 8 or 9 years ago, and then we bought our second house here where I live now. It's a little bit further out than that. But what we're hoping to do is you can buy an oceanfront condo, like literally walk out and put your feet in the sand in Rosarito in Mexico. Bro, for like 300,000. Okay? Try that shit here in LA, bro. Try that in LA, bro. You're going to get a little room like that big, okay? And you're about 2 miles from the beach.
yeah.
But I'm thinking about that because, again, we no longer really need to be in LA, I think. Right. And cualquier cosa, anything happens, bro, you're 35 minutes from the border to the U.S. border.
Yeah.
And whatever, 8 miles to fucking San Diego. So that's another option that we're looking at as well.
That's not a bad option. You know, we're obviously underway already. So before we go any further, I just wanted to just say thank you.
Yeah, man.
For coming on.
Of course.
All right, like, thank you for taking the time out of your day. Thank you for coming on. GM, love seeing you, brother. I haven't
Sorry
seen
for the technical difficulties.
Don't be sorry, dog. It is what it is.
What did I miss? Because I feel like I've just walked into a basketball pickup game and it's like halfway through. I'm putting my shoes on.
The secrets of life, bro. I
just dunked the ball, bro. I just dunked.
You just dunked it? You saw that segue I did there? Because I did read your bio and I saw you played Euroball. So, like, that's something we got to get into for sure.
All right. We'll get into B-ball. I can't believe it because GM told me that too. I read bios, but I try to kind of go into this blank slated. You know, I know enough about the people prior to. I do my homework, but I don't want to know too much because I want the conversation to kind of flow in the ways that it needs to in order to review all these things.
Yeah.
But GM texted me, and he goes, Bro, this man played Euroball. He was in Desert Storm. And he played Euroball.
Then I asked you another question. I was like, don't answer it. Let me just figure it out the rest of it on the episode. Let me not ruin it.
Those two things immediately.
What position did you play, Roberto?
Wait, don't say. Let me guess. I want to guess. I was gonna say the two or three, anywhere from 1 to 3.
I think it's the build.
Yeah, definitely more of the 3.
Okay.
Because remember, we're talking about the late 80s. And what it was I was in the military, and for 1 year I played on the All Navy team, which is the best players in the Navy that are enlisted. Mm-hmm. So while you're on that team, you have the opportunity to play in the European leagues in Europe, more as an ambassador to the U.S. and let's say hello and meet each other and that kind of stuff. And I got to tell you, man, the one thing I remember, the European players were not as good as they are today. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But they were good fundamentally, but they didn't have the skill set that they have today, bro. So we would actually win some games. And the one thing that I remember about my whole time there, bro, this fucking guy set a pick on me. Bro, that I literally felt my soul go this way and my body went this way and I couldn't find my soul. Like, where did my soul go? And the guy's fucking scoring on me. That is the one thing that I remember was the most incredible pick. We're talking about 35, 40 years ago, bro. That's the one thing I remember about my time in that.
That happened to me once in elementary football.
Oh, bro. And I'll tell you what happened to me, too, in elementary. But what nation are we playing here? Who are we talking? What kind of...
We were in England.
Damn. So it was an English boy set a pick on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Whose game
That's
did you
impressive.
resemble the most in the league? We're historians when it comes to basketball, so you can name anybody. I think we'll know who it is. But is there anyone in particular?
Well, it's hard to say really because I was 6'1", so back then I could get away with playing like small forward because I could jump. I was extremely athletic. Like even my son. Today, my youngest, he plays professional basketball in Turkey, but he's 6'4", incredibly athletic. I was 6'1", but incredibly athletic. I was usually the defensive stopper. I would check the other team's best player, and I was physical. And back then I had a bit of a temper, so I was ready to fight, bro. Don't score on me because I'm stopping the game and we're fighting, bro. You know, I was tough. I was tough that way, but I could also score. But the way that I would score most of the time was on fast breaks. I could just outrun you and grabbing rebounds and stuff. I had no jumper. I had nothing outside of 10 feet, but I was just extremely athletic, man. I could just out-rebound anybody.
Wow. So have you gone to Turkey to see your son play? Because I've seen Turkey soccer and Turkey Euroball is intense. The fandom.
Yes.
No, he's been there now 6 years. Every year he's played for a different country because that's kind of what you do there is, every year you're playing for next year's contract. Mm-hmm. So, this year he's in Turkey. Next year he might be somewhere else. But no, I haven't had a chance to go during COVID with all that stuff. And then, trying to get things going here again. It's been tough. And he was in Israel for a few months. Israel is just too much going on there, so he ended up leaving there and going to Turkey.
Okay. Bro, all those EuroLeagues, though, like you're saying, to kind of just piggyback off of this, have you seen Court of Gold on Netflix? Have you seen the docuseries?
A little bit of it, yeah.
My goodness. I first off, this past Olympics for basketball, in my opinion, I didn't see 92. I didn't see Dream Team, Barcelona, right? I didn't see any of that, but I did see this one. Steph's heat check has to be one of the greatest moments in basketball for the world, in my opinion, this past time. And the level of competition, not just France, obviously France is good, but all these other countries, bro. South Sudan, right? It was South Sudan that had Luol Deng. Shout out Luol, who's these boys nowadays all around. It is I kind of liked watching that personally more than I do watching the NBA right now. I think the NBA is in a weird place. I like watching certain players, but it's positionless basketball. George and I talk about this all the time. I like watching Luka. I think Luka's because he reminds me of a soccer player. When I see him play, his deceleration, his ability to just like stop and then people fly by him is and obviously his passes. The same thing with Jokic, but I just feel like basketball nowadays is a little bit. Kobe would talk about it, accidental. Right, it's accidental basketball. It's no longer like half court. Strategy. We know that we're going to put this guy over there in the corner. We're going to pick him back there so you can hit a back pick. And while they're focusing on that person, we're really, it's no longer anything like that. It's just like high pick and roll. If they switch,
or ISO.
You pop it off. Or ISO. So, anyways, that's all to say. Court of Gold was such a great documentary. Watching Nicholas Batum. I mean, players that don't get a lot of love. Normally in the NBA, I loved watching that, bro. It was unbelievable.
Having seen my son for the past few years, man, what people don't understand is that the goal is no longer overwhelmingly to get into the league. It's not, because if you can get into the league, of course, because that's your dream as a kid. But a lot of these kids now understand the business of basketball. And my son was like, why would I want to go and maybe get into the G League and make $50,000? And I'm either playing, maybe not. And when I can go overseas, make more money, I'm one of the starters, I'm balling, and I'm living life. You know what I'm saying? So
treated like a legend. Like a legend.
Exactly. I mean, he had an opportunity for a few months, and this is the greatest market, I think, for basketball overseas is China. He had an opportunity to go there for a few months while some negotiation was taking place for another place that he wanted to go. And dude, in China, they love the American basketball player. Bro, he had security walking around with him.
Wow.
I'm looking at this kid like, why does this child have security walking around him? But it's because everybody's trying to get at him to take a picture he's a badass ball player. But in China, they just love it. But almost any country that you go to, man, when you're talking about the fandom, especially in the Euroleague, man, those fans are something else, bro. Nothing like that is in the United States, man. Scary, bro. Scary.
Yeah. The only thing that's close to it, in my opinion, in the U.S. is college football. When you go to like collegiate sports, the fandom for collegiate sports is the closest thing to all that. So George Michael, he has played soccer. He's an unbelievable soccer player. And I mean, the way that GM used to play basketball too, he is like the type of person who would have a wide open layup but pass it to somebody else. You had to be ready. Whenever you're playing with them, you better be ready because you never know when the ball's coming to you.
If Steve Nash was Colombian, you're looking at him.
Love it.
So I learned all my soccer game from this guy over here. He put me on the game for soccer and fandom for soccer. That's the thing, bro. That's like a goal of mine is to go to an English Premier League game, in England, or go to like a La Liga game, but in over there in Spain, because I want to see
it's different
crazy fandom.
It's different, bro.
Right? That's why Jokic and Doncic, these boys have been experiencing the craziest things that when they're here on the highest stage, it's nothing to them. First off, Jokic looks like he doesn't even give a shit about playing basketball, which is hilarious to me. NBA basketball, Court of Gold. He cares about his country. That's the thing that I loved watching. Seeing his passion there. But
what's funny with Luka, bro, is this kid has been playing professional basketball since he was 14, and supposedly Dallas gets rid of him because, well, he's overweight and he doesn't care about his weight and he's drinking Bud Light and this and that. I'm like, listen, bro, if being overweight and drinking Bud Light is going to take you to the finals by himself like he did, more players need to get on that program, bro. Come on, man. It's ridiculous. I think what happened with Luka is when he came into the league, he was young, so he had a younger body. He was smaller. And I think what he realized was that yo, I can eat whatever the fuck I want to eat. I can smoke. I can drink right before the game, and I'm going to be one of the best players in this league. So why? You know, it's like, it's incredible, phenomenal player, cerebral, and you get another cerebral player like LeBron and him together, bro. That shit is scary. And now
scary.
what you've done is, what you've done, man, is you've prolonged this dude's NBA career, brother.
Yep.
You had at least another 2 years.
It's incredible.
You had another 2 years. I mean, they're like in fourth right now, but it doesn't matter. They're gonna go far in the playoffs. I mean,
as long as they're not in the play-in. As long as they're not in the play-in.
Oh,
no.
I don't see that.
That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna. They're probably gonna drop to fifth at the most because it's just so close from second to fifth.
No, they won. They won last night. They beat Denver last night,
win.
and Memphis lost, so they actually moved up to third. And then they play Milwaukee tonight.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good game.
Yeah,
I think this is really good. I mean, some people have conspiracy theories of LeBron's faking an injury, and if he is, good for him. He's playing. There's bigger fish to fry in the playoffs. Fish to fry in the playoffs.
I agree,
I'm not mad at that, you know.
Yeah.
But I think what's really good for this moment right now is letting Luka just take over.
Yeah.
I think he's already kind of comfortable, but now this is gonna like fast track him to really being like, I can do really whatever I want.
And acclimate himself to his teammates.
Get used to teammates playmaking, which LeBron was kind of doing with him already the last couple games, letting him like hold the rock.
And the other players that normally wouldn't get a lot of playing time because now Rudy's out as well.
Yep.
So now some of these other dude, I'm telling you, I really like what I'm saying. And I'm not
and they're playing good basketball.
Laker fan like that, but I'm a basketball fan. And the Lakers are scary, bro.
Yes. The Lakers.
Them fuckers play defense, bro.
Yep. JJ needs to be in conversation for head coach of the year, for coach of the year also.
Absolutely.
He is incredible. Oh, I love this that we're talking about basketball.
What was the coach? What was the coach that they had last year?
Darvin Ham.
Darvin Ham was like, all right, guys, this was the game plan. All right, guys, let's show them what we got.
Yes.
You know, it's like, what? Show what?
That could only go so far.
JJ actually does, writes out plays, and he actually like has a game plan, bro.
He's JJ. I have a funny story about JJ Redick. So I went to Duke basketball camp when I was like 12 years old, and I went there with one of our mutual friends, Kyle, me and George Michael. And anyways, we're there, and they have open gym at a certain point. So me and my buddy. There was like these two teams that were playing, and they were called the Army and Navy teams because they'd give each like individual little squad, you'd be a different university, right? So I forget. I think I was like Florida University. I don't remember. Anyways, I just put on my chest. I was like a little 12-year-old kid. Go Army or whatever. And so, anyways, they had open gym. And the two teams had like finished playing, and I was just being an idiot, and I just ran up to somebody and I like lifted up my shirt and I was like, "Oh, go Army!" Right? Because I had it written in Sharpie across my chest. And this guy just like kind of like taps my stomach and he's like, "Yeah, go Army, bro!" And he walks away. And my buddy is standing right next to me. You can ask Kyle the story. He's standing right next to me, and his mouth is just open. He's like, and I go, "What, dude?" He goes, "That was JJ Redick." And when I turned around, JJ was like, "Yeah."
He was still in college, right?
He was in Duke. He was at Duke at that point. So they had open gym for the players then. And JJ Redick slapped my stomach. And I'm like, that's my claim to fame right there with JJ Redick. Bro, he was a killer at Duke.
He was nice. Woo. He was nice in college. Woo. Nice.
Yeah. And you say that Luka added some years to LeBron. I think low key, like JJ, the way he came in and implemented this offense and defense, might have added another season to LeBron's career. I think because he's dropping like 27, but it's not like he's trying to kill himself doing it either.
That's it, because Luka's there now. Also, that's what I was going to say. First off, Luka can learn from LeBron in terms of how to take care of your body, and he could still do all that shit he's doing. He could still do all that, and LeBron's going to teach him the ins and outs. And then the other thing now is that LeBron is such a savant. People were like, "Oh, they're both ball dominant players." LeBron can play off ball. Yeah. He's at the point in his career where he knows how to play off the ball, so he can conserve energy now. Bro, look at the way he's playing defense. That's the thing that gets me, is the way he's playing defense again. Because now he has the energy to do that because he doesn't need to have the ball. And Luka equally is that. The way he sees the game, the thing that gets me the most is the rhythm of games. People sometimes don't understand. A lot of people say, well, NBA is only fun in the fourth quarter when things are getting close. Yeah, I understand. Casual fan, I get it. but the rhythm of a game, the way that you play in the first 5 minutes. And the last 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes of the first half and the first 5 minutes of the second half. You know how they always say that? It's like whoever wins those little time frames usually ends up winning the game. It's so interesting the way that they manipulate the rhythm of games. And Luka and LeBron are masters of doing that.
Bro, and we're not even talking about Reeves.
I know.
I mean, like who saw Reeves has arguably one of the best handles in the NBA, bro. His handles are ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Stephen A said he's probably the best third option in the league right now, and I didn't even bat an eye. I was like, he might be right.
He's cold, bro. He's cold.
It took time for him to get here. They gave him confidence. Let him get comfortable. I remember at one point people were like, bro, ship him out and keep Caruso, and look how it's worked out.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
Caruso's a dog too, but Reeves, bro, he's just that
special
country
talent.
boy.
He's a special talent.
Let that country boy go. He just wants to hoop.
He's a dog,
what
but he's got skill too.
What was it that Reeves said? I'm him. Is that what he said? I am him. I'm like, what? That doesn't even make sense. What? But yeah, he is, bro. He is.
Let that boy ball. And Jackson Hayes is also hooping right now.
I'm happy for them. I'm definitely happy for them.
Dorian,
bro, they said that they were too small.
Yeah.
Okay. They said that they didn't play no defense. They said that Hayes is not a true center, not a starting center. Bro, everybody's balling. And when you got two high IQ dudes, and I mean, even I forgot who it was that said it might have been what's his name? Dodo. Dodo said, "I've never been this wide open anywhere." It's like he's constantly wide open, man. And it's like I don't remember the Lakers being able to hit threes like that. Nope. It's incredible, bro.
Nope.
That's the other thing. But prior to Luka coming, because their team they changed a little bit, but for the most part, the personnel's kind of the same, right? They added Luka. Who else came over in the trade? I think that's it, wasn't it? They shipped out Max Christie, Anthony Davis.
What's up with Connect, man?
He's hooping.
He looked like he got butthurt after that whole debacle at the trade deadline, but he's taking a back seat to Reeves, kind of. I mean, obviously, right? But
I think he's having a typical rookie year.
Yes.
Where if you want to be serious, I mean, he only had that one game when he went off, like the first or second game of the season. Yeah. Then after that, he started doing this. Then he got traded. And then it took him a couple of games to get going. But his confidence is back. I think he's happy again.
I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be really good.
I think he's going to be nice. He's going to be nice.
He's got a jumper, and he's got length.
And I think he understands
and
basketball.
And he's got hops.
Yeah.
When he learns how to dribble, when he learns some counters, that's like you said, it's a typical rookie season. I look at somebody like Tyler Hero. I mean, I'm a diehard Heat fan. I'm a diehard.
I was about to say, let's come back down from the clouds, living vicariously for the Lakers. Let's talk about
the
Heat real quick.
We're doing so good, and now we're talking about
back to life.
The Heat. Wow.
Back to reality.
I don't. It's horrible.
Did you guys watch the game last night?
Oh, I did.
That hurt. That one hurt.
I saw some of it.
That one hurt.
I didn't even want to listen to it because I knew it was going to happen, bro. I don't want to.
Yeah, you could just feel it. You could just feel it. We can't rebound, man. We can't rebound.
Bro, we're the Miami Dolphins of the NBA. We're great for 3 quarters. We're amazing for 3 fucking quarters. I'm sorry, dog.
Se le está subiendo la sangre.
Yeah, dog. Don't get me started, bro. Coño, bro. It's so annoying. It's just like, because Bam is a baller, Hero's a baller, and then what happens? Our brains just fucking shut off. I don't know, bro. Whatever. I don't want to talk about it, dog. Those games just make me so angry. I was so hyped for Davey. I like Davion Mitchell a lot. Andrew Wiggins, I like him. I don't want to say I like him a lot. I think Khalil Ware's coming along nicely. I like Kyle Anderson. I don't think he really fits the squad. But, whatever, bro. The Heat, I read something today. I think you sent the GM that Stephen A. Smith was saying, Pat Riley, your legacy is going to be LeBron and taking away his chocolate chip cookies. Because that's, was the last straw on the camel's back for LeBron leaving Miami.
I think he was actually right about that. I don't agree with a lot of his takes, but I think he might be right about it. Riles is old school, man, and you have to sometimes understand that you can't, with this new generation, that doesn't work. They've got too much power, and you have to be able. You can't talk to every player the same way. And for me, to lose somebody like LeBron James, who was probably going to leave anyway, but to lose him like that, and then to lose the baby of Miami, which is Wade.
That was
Come
worse.
on, bro. You lost me.
That was way
You
worse.
lost me.
That was way worse. Just
you
pay the
lost
man. Just pay the man.
I agree, George. That to me was LeBron leaving was probably going to leave, but the manner in which he did it, and how he just kind of left. They went out with that, just like boom, I'm out. But then you give Bosch that max extension. You give, I think it was it Whiteside at that time? I don't remember who it was, but he paid somebody else, and then
Whiteside.
he's like, all we have is this money left for you. And Wade's like, what are you talking about, bro? Yeah.
All we have to do is cut a player.
Yeah.
And I understand Pat Riley, like he's trying to win financially for the next 5 years when he makes decisions like that, but I think that sets you back for like the next 20 years, because then now the next superstar comes around and they're kind of hesitant to come to Miami because they're like, how are they going to treat me when I get into the twilight of my career?
They haven't gotten a true superstar when there's been 3 or 4 available over the last 2 or 3 years
Like
that
KD.
were like, yo, he might want to go to Miami, and it didn't go nowhere.
Miss KD, Miss Giannis, that was that whole thing.
Damian Lillard.
Lillard. I mean, bro, if we would have had Lillard, Jimmy, and Bam, okay, this is the thing with the Heat also. Oh, my God, this is awesome. This is the thing with the Heat. We didn't have Butler for pretty much the entire season this year, right? He played de vez en cuando, he would come in and play. When he leaves, all of a sudden we forget how to play basketball. We were doing pretty good even when we didn't have him.
Yeah.
To me, that says to me what the mentality that we don't have that dog in the locker room. Now, again, I'm not an NBA player, so obviously, there's a bunch of other things happening.
Yeah, we're speculating.
But it's one of those things that shows me that there's like a missing voice in the locker room that is able to like rally the troops.
And that was you, D. That was you, D, for 20 years, bro.
Yeah, bro. Yes. Ah, God, I love the Heat though, man. I can't, no matter what. I'm that Miami fan, and the same thing with the Dolphins. I'm that fan where in the offseason I'm like, we're gonna fucking do it this year. It is like the plight of being a Miami fan is always in the offseason saying, man, I think this is the year. I think this is the year. I mean, with the Dolphins, I always say, give me until week 8. Let me see who the team is in week 8, and I'll believe it. The Heat, I think it's almost a little worse with the Heat because we've been mediocre. For a few. I mean, when we had Butler, he took us to 2 finals, which was amazing. But usually, we'd get in as like the 7 seed or the 8 seed, and then we go to the finals. Although we did have the 1 seed that year that we lost to Boston. Dear God, that's just a team that I can't get behind. I love Jason Tatum. I do like Jason Tatum because I like Duke players, but I don't think I could ever get behind Boston. The Celtics,
no chance.
Not for me. Or the Patriots. No, thank you. No, thank you. Not in my lifetime. All right, bro. Let's go into we first 30 minutes. For those of you that are still listening, this is awesome. We were talking a little bit before GM hopped in about how you moved out to LA. All right, and he was talking about Too Fast, Too Furious, GM. So, yeah. We'll get into that, too. I told him that I remember when we were in school and they were shutting down the highways for those movies. I love that movie, bro.
And I wasn't mad about it at all either. Once I heard they're making the second one here, I was like, shut down the state. I don't give a damn. It's about to be special, man. This is... I think that's like that's probably a top 5, top 3 Miami movie, in my opinion, of all time. I mean, you got that, and then... what was the other movie I was thinking of? Bad Boys.
Bad Boys, bro.
Yeah.
Special
Bad Boys
time.
is another one. I mean, I can't think of another Miami movie.
There was one that Denzel did that was in Miami.
Man on Fire.
I think
with Mark Anthony.
No, with Eva Mendes.
Deja Vu.
No. He's thinking of Training Day.
No, Training Day.
No, not Training Day.
Wasn't she in that? Wasn't she Eva Mendes in that?
Yes.
That was out in Compton or LA, right? Something like that.
Yeah. LA.
But there was something that he did in Miami that was actually pretty good. I think he was a detective or some shit, and maybe it wasn't Eva Mendes, but
guess what?
John Q?
No, that was in Chicago.
Yeah.
They did that at the hospital I was born in Chicago.
John Q?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Cook
What do you
County
say,
Hospital.
GM?
But guess what? We can't remember that movie, but we can remember Too Fast, Too Furious. That's Denzel, respectfully. That's Denzel. Impact.
That's true.
Man, it's funny. I was in the military for like 11 years or whatever, and toward the end of that, I started modeling when I was in the military. And I was like, oh shit, maybe, no say, maybe I'll try this shit. Like, I can make a career out of fucking modeling, which was stupid, but that's just how I felt. I was ready to get out after 11 and a half years. And that took me to Atlanta. I modeled in Atlanta for like 5 years. And I was like, oh, is this it? Is this all there is really to this? And I said, you know what? Maybe I'll go back home to Miami and see if maybe I can work the Latino market. I went back to Miami. The first thing I did, I transferred with my job. So I was working at El Metro Rail. I was one of the officers on the Metro Rail in Miami. And, dude, I was modeling, had my day job, every once in a while a commercial. But that was it as far as the acting. That's all I wanted to do. And then one day, my agent in Miami, she says, Roberto, I know you're not really into the acting side of things, but you got a good look, man. And I think they would like you for this movie called The Fast and the Furious 2. And I was like, okay, what is that? And dude, fucking clueless, bro. Fucking clueless. She was like, it's a movie about cars. Listen, you should go to Blockbuster. They used to have Blockbuster back then. Hey, go to Blockbuster and rent the first one so you can see what it's about. And I was like, oh, shit, that's like a good idea, right? So she sent me the sides, and she said, Roberto, just memorize the lines that say Roberto, not the other actor's lines, your lines only. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, that's a good idea. All right, I'm good. Dude, I sucked. But I went in, and I'd had some acting classes, like my foundation is Meisner, that I took just because I don't know if it was a free class or something, but I took it and then I stuck with it for a minute. So I did have some type of training, but it didn't interest me. So anyway, so I get the audition. I guess I do well. And a few weeks later, I get a call back. So my agent is excited because out of all the main characters, that was the only role that was cast in Miami. Whoa. All the other roles were out of LA, and I think one or two maybe out of New York, but that was the only main character out of Miami. So any actor or any agent that landed that was like winning the lotto.
Yeah.
So she called me and said, Roberto, they want to see you again. And she was like, I don't know what you did, but just do it again. And I was like, okay. And dude, I come into the callback. I walk in and I see this black gentleman with glasses sitting down, and he looks fucking familiar, but I don't know from what, bro. He just looks familiar. And obviously it was John Singleton. And he looks up and he was like, yeah, you ready? And I was like, yeah, I'm ready. And it was just a scene where I grabbed the guy and I'm like, yo, drop the gun, stupid. But he's sitting there and he's shaking his head like, And I'm not nervous because I haven't had that kind of training to understand the moment and, oh shit, none of that. I'm clueless, and there's a beauty in being clueless that you're not nervous, But I'm now realizing that, oh shit, I'm messing up. And he says, okay, stop. He says, do you speak Spanish? And I said, yes. He said, okay, do it in Spanish. Okay, maricón, baja la pistola, hijo puta, that kind of stuff. And he's sitting there like, no. And now I'm like, oh, fuck, man, this guy's a dick, And he was like, where are you people from? And I said, well, I'm Cuban. And brother, he gave me the best nugget of advice. And he said, well, I know a lot of Cubans. And man, when they get mad, they get fucking mad. Y brother, I don't know what happened. Se me prendió un bombillo. Some light lit up and he said, this guy wants Tony Montana on steroids. I don't know. Agarré el tipo. Maricón! And I just started going off, bro. Fucking spit was flying out of my mouth, bro. If that would have been COVID, bro, I would have been thrown out, bro. It was like disgusting, bro. The casting director is yelling, cut. I don't hear her because I'm just so gone, right? And I'm just like this. And finally, he's like, stop. And he says, that's what I'm talking about. And dude, I'm hyperventilating. I'm like, what the fuck just happened, bro? I was like, I've never experienced nothing like that. And I was like, yo, all right, what do you want me to do now, He was like, now get the fuck out. oh, yeah, okay. Well, hey, thanks, Fuck, Dude, I left. I do not know what happened, bro. I don't know how I got there. I don't know how this man got me there. But I knew that something had happened. I called my agent and said, yo, I don't know. But I was yelling, and I think he liked the yelling. I don't know. And that was it. I went back to work. It's now 6 weeks later. and I just come on my shift and on the metro rail. I'm working the downtown station, and it's 5:00, and it was one of those days where, no sé, brother, I was again asking the questions: Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? For several times, it felt like something was here saying to me, "Hey, asshole, why don't you come this way instead of you going that way?" That was the vibe that I would get, and I couldn't tell you why. I'm not a religious person or anything like that, but I had that feeling. So I go to work this day, and dude, I'm like, fuck, man. It's 5:00, the train is packed, and there's a guy sitting down smoking a cigarette. You can't smoke on the train. So I already know lo que va a pasar aquí, bro. I know that I'm going to have to tell this guy, please put the cigarette out. He's going to cuss me out. And then we're going to commence to wrestle. And I got to get this guy off the train. So, bro, I'm not in the mood, bro. Oh, no. I just got the uniform out of the cleaners, bro. I got the stupid hat on. And I'm like, fuck, bro. I go up to the guy and say, I'm sorry, sir, but you can't smoke on the train. Can you please put it out? Bro, he looks at me. Yeah, fuck you, bitch. I'm like, fuck, man, what the fuck? I hate this job, you know. And everybody on the train is like this.
What you going to do?
I don't think they liked us. So when somebody confronted us, they were like, okay, ¿qué vas a hacer ahora? What are you going to do now?
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck, man, I got to get the guy out of the train. I don't have a choice. So, dude, I start taking off my hat. And I'm calling on the walkie-talkie. I'm telling the officer that it's at the next station to be ready, because I'm going to be wrestling with this dude and I'm going to need some help. He was a big dude, bro. He was sitting down and he was at least 6'4", heavy set, big dude. Like I was going to be wrestling with this dude. And I call it in. And dude, as soon as I do that, my phone is going off. And I look down, whatever, and I'm like, shit, it's my agent. And it was weird because usually when I would hear from my agent, it was usually earlier in the day for auditions and shit like that. She never called me at 5 p.m, which was weird. Brother, and I'm looking at this guy, and I'm looking at the fucking phone, and I'm looking at the people. And again, this thing, whatever this thing is, was telling me, asshole, pick up the fucking phone, bro. I don't know how else to tell you. Pick up the phone. And I'm like, fuck. Dude, I pick up the phone, and this woman is screaming at the top of her lungs because, remember, it's like literally winning the lotto. I just didn't know. So she's at the top of her, Roberto, you booked it. And I'm like, I booked what? The movie about the cars. And I'm like, okay, yeah, well, that's good. I'm about to get into a fight. Can I call you back? And she was like, no, you need to tell me if you accept the offer. And I'm the offer? ¿Qué pinga tú hablas de offer? What offer of what? It's like, well, listen, they're offering, you're going to be working for about 3.5 months, and you're going to make this amount of money.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? How much money? And she was like, yeah, that much. And I'm like, get the fuck. And I'm looking at this dude. I'm looking at this. And again, this thing here was saying, oye, bro, dale. And bro, I'm usually a conservative guy, so I don't like sometimes taking risks when you need to.
Yes.
And something said, bro, just trust this. Whatever this is, trust it. And I said, let me call you back. I said, yes, but I'll call you back. I hung up my phone, brother. And the train was coming to a stop, bro. And I walked up to and the guy squared up because he thought we were going to go. And I walked up and I said, listen, bro, you can smoke that whole pack for all I care. And you know what? Fuck you, bitch. And I got out the car. I got out the train. The other officer was running in. I said, no, don't even worry about it, bro. I took the train back to the main hub in el downtown, went up to the 5th floor, and I gave him my 2-week notice. Not knowing what the fuck I was getting into. I didn't know about the whole world of the Fast and the Furious, the first one or anything really. I didn't know who Paul Walker was. I didn't know any of that. So it was truly a leap of faith. And I think what it was, in my case, it was someone like John Singleton being able to see something that I couldn't see. I couldn't see that type of talent in me, any type of talent when it came to that. And I think that John saw that. He has a history of discovering people. Tyrese, Cole Hauser. He's got a list of people that he's brought into the world. And I think maybe he saw something in me. And I worked on that film for 3 months. I mean, my first day we were shooting in Versailles on 8th Street. Mm-hmm. And bro, I show up and the whole place is roped off, bro. And like, all I see is women on the outside of the fucking ropes. And I'm talking to my partner in the movie, Mogolini, and I'm like, yo, Mo, why are all these women here, bro? It's like, just seems like too many women. Oh, bro, they're here to see Paul Walker. And I'm like, what? That's when I meet Paul Walker. And again, bro, that was a world that I had never wanted to be part of. I didn't know what that was. But after 3 months of living that world, it was a $97 million film. Okay? So you can imagine each car had 5 or 6 duplicates of each car.
In 02,
just in case.
02, right?
Wow.
In 02?
This was, in 02, September of 02.
Wow.
Y caballo, I worked on that for 3 months, and then I was like, okay, ahora qué? Now what? I called my agent and said, yo, do I go back to work or what do I do? And she told me, she said, mira, Roberto, what happened to you doesn't happen to actors that have been in this game 20 years. What I suggest to you is go to LA and ride this thing and see what happens with this thing. That's going to be a major movie. You're one of the main characters. You got extremely lucky, but let's see what you can do with it. If I were you, I'd go to LA. And again, conservative, I'm like, LA, I don't even know where that is. I've never been to California. No. Is that like up there near Georgia? I don't know, bro. I don't fucking know. But something was saying, oye, Brody, how many times do I need to push you in the direction that I'm trying to fucking push you?
Yeah.
Dude, I jumped in my car, put my stuff in storage, jumped in my car, and got here February 14th
Wow.
of 2003. And I've been here ever since.
Wow.
Damn, dog.
That's the stories we live for. That's the stories we
shit
love.
That's the shit. You know, it's so interesting you're saying that kind of thing right now because I think where George and I are in life personally is a lot of things are happening like that. I mean, just while you were talking, first off, you're so fucking Cuban. I love it, dog.
I love it.
It's so amazing talking and hearing, bro, caballo, trabajé por 3 meses. Like, it's literally brings me so much joy hearing all this stuff. But there's so many times in life, bro, where you question the things you need to do, because I would consider myself a practical sort of person, and taking those risks sometimes is not just scary. It's just one of those things that's like, dude, immigrant mindset, immigrant mentality is we made it. You know, I remember my grandparents came from Cuba, and it's very much like you stick with your family, take care of your family. You're here, you know, do what you got to do. Make sure you have, you know, enough money to pay your rent, you know, feed, you know, all these things. And jumping into this artist lifestyle, like George is a music producer and DJ in Miami, is one of those things that it's wrought with a lot of uncertainty. It's one of those things that you have to just step out and do it. So I to go on a bunny trail after when you moved out here, how did things transpire? How did, I mean, obviously you've been in the game for 23 years. You were telling me earlier, right? 23. I don't want to.
23.
Yeah. So with the ups and downs, I heard Neil Patrick Harris say one time, in this career, it's like surfing, right? You're out there, you're waiting for a wave, and you get something, and you're like, oh shit, this is the wave, but it's not really a wave, and it like dies down. You're like, all right, let me go wait. So you're out there waiting, then you hit a wave, and you ride it, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing, and you go all the way to the shore, and it finishes, and you're like, oh my God, that was so amazing, and you go, wow, and then you look back out there, and you go, I guess I got to paddle back out there and wait for the next wave. You know, it's one of those things that it's very much like that. And I not to turn it on me, but I've experienced certain things like that as well with Dexter. Dexter was monumental for me in my career. And I kind of had a similar experience when I got that phone call from my agent, and they were saying like, oh, so this is how much they want you. This is what they're offering. And I was just kind of silent. I was like, and they asked me, are you okay? And I go, I mean, I'm great. I've just never had a phone call like this before. This is an unbelievable phone call. So
and you were great in that, by the way.
I appreciate that, and ditto to you as well. I mean, what you said to me, I know we've messaged back and forth for a few times, but you know, it rung very true, because it's hard for myself to evaluate. You know, bro, you see shit, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? You know, I'm like, I could have done something. What are you doing there? Yeah. You know, like, bro, that was flat.
Kind of like the concept, you know? Like, you don't like to hear your own voice, like on voicemail or something. But it's like everything in life with ourselves. We're so critical.
That's true. That's true. So how have you dealt with the everything in terms of the industry? Like how do you deal with the highs? How do you deal with the lows? Do you allow yourself to go all those places? Are you somebody who kind of, you said that you like to be away from people and everything. Do you kind of like staying in the middle? How do you deal with that kind of stuff?
I think, well, you know, once I got here, listen, I had one credit on IMDb. That was it. And the movie hadn't come out yet. So nobody knew who I was. They were like, he's one of the main characters in this big movie. How do you get that? Who is he? So it was a little bit hard of a sell, but I had a pretty good manager through a connection that I had, and she was able to land me with Buckwald, which is a really good agency.
Yep, still is.
Yeah, and I guess at the time I was 38 years old, 38, 39 years old when I booked Too Fast. So I was mature in that I could strategize things. I was a military guy, so everything I do is very strategy. I'm strategic like a motherfucker. And what I found myself was that the auditions that I was going to, dude, I was going in the room with like, yo, I know this dude. I've seen this dude. Oh my God, I've seen this dude. This dude. And I was like, all I've done is Too Fast. And I think I sucked. But you know, I felt like I haven't done the work that you need to do. I haven't gone through the trials and tribulations because I got lucky. So after about a year, I decided to leave Buckwald and go to a very small fucking agency where I was their big fish as opposed to going to them where they were a big pond and I was the little fish. So I strategized that. I went there, and sure enough, and I told her, listen, forget Too Fast, Too Furious. I'll do one-liners, I'll do co-stars, whatever, because I need to just do that, go through that process, the auditions.
Grind.
I got to figure shit out.
How did you
I
get
got
the
lucky,
intuition
and
for
now
that?
I got to capitalize on that somehow.
How'd you get the intuition for that? Did
And sure
someone
enough,
tell you, or
huh?
how did you get the intuition for that? Like, did someone advise you on that, or you just knew? Like,
Again, it's just me. I always plan things out. One thing that I tell people sometimes is nowadays they call it a vision board. Back when I was fucking modeling in the 80s and the 90s, I never heard that expression. But I'll tell you what I do. I was working 3 or 4 jobs, and I was pursuing the modeling. So a lot of times when I had that third shift from like 11 o'clock to 6 in the morning, bro, I would sit there watching the security cameras, and I had a journal. And in that journal, I would say, what is it that I need to do to get to whatever the next level is? I need new headshots. You know what? I need to get into something, a modeling, whatever the case may be, but I would write it out. And dude, at 2, 3 in the morning, I'm just looking at it. Not knowing what I was doing, but I was just looking at it like, yo, this is what I got to do. The next day, the same. The next day, the same. And when you look now at today's time, that's projecting something. That's having a vision board that you can visualize and do these things. So I was an older guy by the time I got here, so I thought that way. And sure enough, I started to get these one-liners at the same time, having an opportunity to be introduced to different casting directors. And that is poquito a poquito how it started. And it took a while. That what you're talking about now, 2004. With Buckwald, I did land 2 guest stars. She Spies and The District. And I got a funny story about The District. But anyway, I got that, and then I went to the smaller agency, and poquito a poquito, I started to that. But let me go back to The District. One of the few auditions that I get, and I don't know if you guys remember the show The District, but it was with Craig T. Nelson. Procedural detective show, blah, blah, blah.
I love Craig T. Nelson.
Okay, good. So then you have an idea. So, bro, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, right? So I go I go directly to a producer's call. Okay, I don't even audition. I go straight. That's the pull that Buckwald had.
Yeah.
So I walk in. I'm a guy on death row. and I have this long ass monologue with Craig T. Nelson. And dude, I sit down, obviously as the casting director, the director, and about 5 or 6 producers. I'm a little nervous. You know, I'm in LA now. I'm in this thing now. So now it's starting to matter.
You're in the big leagues. Yeah.
Yeah. And now I'm like, okay, really, you know, I'm dressed and shit like a fucking prison. My first line is, so you're the bastard that's got the guards in here tossing my cell. Well, I have a problem with that. Because they were coming in, the guards were coming in and tossing my cell, looking for shit. And I was like the badass in on death row. So that's the opening line. I hope I don't offend anybody on here, bro. Whoever listens to this, but
disclaimer, all good, bro. You do this is a part of your craft, bro. This is some words that somebody else wrote. Go for it.
All right, so that's the opening line. So she says action, and I'm looking at the guy, right, all cool and shit, and I say, so you're the bastard that's got the guards in here tossing my salad. Well, I got a problem with that, bro. As soon as salad came out of my mouth, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And I see these two on this side over here. They turn and they look at each other and they're trying not to laugh. I'm like, my career is fucking over before it even started. I'm like, what the fuck? So my mind says, Roberto, fuck it, bro. Just battle through it, bro. Don't just battle through it. And I'm like, I'm playing it off, and then I go into this long-ass fucking 2-minute monologue, bro. And, dude, as soon as I was done, I could see one of the producers in the back. He was doing this. Like, he was trying to hold in the laugh from laughing. And I'm like, I'm seeing that. I'm listening to these two assholes. I suck. I'm like, it's the end of my career. And, bro, as soon as I was done, I don't know why. The first thing out of my mouth was like, I am so sorry I said that. I'm a married man. I don't even know what that is. I'm straight. I don't even know why I had to say that I was straight. I don't even know why that came out of my mouth. But I was like, I'm straight and I'm married and I apologize. And it was so funny. It was so funny because one of the producers, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking about, but he says, well, you know, that is what they do in prison. And I'm like, what? Like, how do you know that? I mean, dude, I was so fucking embarrassed. So fucking embarrassed. I was like, yeah, this was the sign that I was looking for, that I don't need to be doing this. I'm a one-hit wonder.
The thing that was telling me here, that's it. That thing is like, that's gone.
That thing that was telling me this was telling me, yeah, I meant you to go there, but not there today. And, bro, the only time, para que tú veas que I cannot figure anything out about this business. The only time in my 23 years that by the time I left the casting office, by the time I got to my car, they had already called my agent making the offer. Go figure, bro. I don't understand anymore. I don't understand anymore. So I ended up booking the role. Y caballo, now we're getting ready to shoot it. And I'm with Craig T. And listen, Craig T might be a sweetheart to everybody. From my experience, it was maybe a bad day for him. So he wasn't friendly at all. And he was one of the executive producers, so he could literally fire me on the spot. So the whole time, the only thing I said, Roberto, if you fuck up, just don't say toss my salad, bro. Make up something else, but please don't repeat that ever again. Hey, Kawai, I was so nervous that we did this long-ass scene, bro, and it's just dialogue. This is just a big monologue. I was so nervous that we got it in one take, bro. The director was like, yo, I think we got it. Let's do one more for safety, but we're good. Brother, it was surreal how nervous I was that I amplified my intensity and my concentration to nail it. But the moral of the story really is that even if you go to an audition and you think you fucked up and you think it's the worst thing you've ever done in your life, they see something in you that says, you know what, he fucked up the line, so what? We all do. Yeah. That's the character. Yeah. When he walked into the room, he looked like he got out of death row because I was dressed the part, so.
Yeah. Dog, that was an unbelievable story. Oh man,
I'll
that's
never
awesome.
forget that, bro.
I have a similar story, and I won't name like the names of who this happened with and shit like that. But I was on a show, and I remember I was so nervous because I was like 24 or whatever, and I got on the show. It was one of my favorite shows at the time, and I had this whole scene with one of the leads that was the lead of that new season.
Mm-hmm.
All right, long story long, we got like into a tussle in the scene, and I had to put something in his mouth, and when I did it in his mouth, I remember feeling something go like think like that. And I was like, oh shit, that sounded crazy. But the scene was over, and I was like, oh bro, that's fucking awesome. We fucking got into it. That was so real, all this shit. And he comes up to me and he goes, hey, bro, next time, just, we don't have to do it because the camera's not really looking. You don't have to go all the way in my mouth. You can kind of fake it because the camera's back there. I was like, all right, cool. So, anyways, we just keep going, and we're sitting at holding later on. We're sitting in our chairs, and like a producer and one of the showrunners comes over, and a medic comes over. And the medic is like, hey, so I heard that you broke your tooth. Your tooth is broken.
Oh.
And he kind of like looked at me, and he was like, yeah, but it's not that big a deal. He was like, oh, well, let me take a look at it. So he took a look at it. He's like, oh, yeah, all right. So, yeah, it's cracked. That tooth is cracked. And the entire time, bro, I was thinking, I'm fucking done. I am never, ever going to work again. This is like one of the leads of the show. I'm so lucky to be here. All that stuff that goes on in your head. And they leave, and I'm just like staring at him. And not once, to his credit, did he ever say it was because of me. He never, ever threw me under the bus. High class.
Wow.
And I looked at him after, and I go, bro, I will give you my paycheck if you need it to get, for whatever. I am so sorry. He's like, no, dude, it's all good. This happens. Whatever. We wrap that day. We come back like a couple days later to finish the scene, and he's talking or whatever, and somebody asks him about his tooth or whatever. He goes, yeah, actually, this is they had to replace it. It's a brand new tooth, and I was right there, and I go, oh my God, dude, I'm so sorry. Please let me give you some money or whatever. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. He goes, yeah, it's all good, bro. I got a brand new one. It's all good. And then he just kind of lets me kind of sit in my sweat, like looking down, and then he taps me on the shoulder and he goes, I'm just fucking with you, bro. It's all good. Like, they just filled it in a little bit. And I was like, oh my God, dude. It's those stories, bro. I love those stories because again, everybody messes up, dude.
Yeah.
We're not robots, and I think that you finished the scene, even though you said that, you kept going, which is probably what showed them something. And on top of that, you know how these shoots go, you're on set for 16 hours sometimes, maybe longer, with people. And what I've learned is these people a lot of times look at who you are as a human to see if they want to be around you for that much time, to see if they want to be around you for that long. I got a really great piece of advice early on too, saying, make sure that you're a good and kind person, which you are. You'll be surprised how far that takes you, because very seldom does talent outweigh the way you are towards other people. It's there's very few people. I don't want to work with assholes, right? Now, there's a difference between somebody demanding a certain level of something and coming across as an asshole versus somebody who's just disrespectful and it's a dick. People that demand something, I'm all about that. You demand it, let's go. I was on Westworld, and that set, there was no phones allowed on that set. Which at first I was like, oh shit, I'm a little scared. But when I got there, I loved it. I loved that because that meant that when, they called, hey, last looks, they don't have to wait 5 minutes for somebody to walk over because they're not on their phone scrolling. And if you have to wait 5 times, 5 minutes, that's 25 minutes that you're behind schedule.
Sure.
So demanding sort of that, I understand. And like you hear all these stories about Tom Cruise and stuff. So I think there's a difference between that. Jordan, bro, that The Last Dance, you just watch that. People that fucking demand that, so you're there, and they won't do anything. They won't ask you to do anything they wouldn't do themselves. So
Yeah.
I really love that too, bro. Let me ask you, in your career, because you said, because I agree with this. The longer I'm in it, the more I know less about this business. I have no idea. Gracias a Dios, I always say, lo que está para ti, nadie te lo quita. I love that. Con paciencia y saliva. You know the rest of that saying. You know, el elefante se lo metió a la hormiga. You know, all that good stuff. So, what have you been able to glean from your experience out here, maybe as a human, in terms of that's contributed to your longevity? You know, like, what are some lessons that you've learned in hindsight that have contributed to you being out here and continuing forward? Because it's fucking hard, bro. 23 years, that's a congratulations. That's a feat.
I think you kind of hit on it earlier. One thing that I learned early on is you can't get down on yourself when things aren't going the way that you want. And what you have to understand about this business is that this business is literally this: up, down, up, down, up. So what you need to do is, when you're here, that's great. Pero lo más importante is that when you're here, you can't get down on yourself. Instead, you need to focus your attention on the fact that this is coming. You're getting ready. Oh, it's that time again.
Prepárate.
You know, it's you have to play mind games. Something that really changed for me, man, believe it or not, man. You guys ever heard of The Secret?
Yeah.
Yes.
Laws of attraction, that kind of stuff. I was in Atlanta for something, and a friend of mine, this was in 2008, a friend of mine gave me a DVD. It didn't say anything on it. And he fucking gave me the DVD, bro, like it was a fucking drug transaction, bro. I was like, yo, bro, take a look at this DVD when you get back to
it's a secret.
to LA. And I'm like, what's on this DVD, bro? And he says, I don't want to tell you. I just want you to look at it. And I'm like, bro, I'm married, bro. I can't fucking show porn at the house. Is this
I'm
porn?
straight.
You
I'm
don't-
straight, bro. I'm straight.
I'm straight,
married.
bro. The tossing salad was about time, you know. Yeah, man, no fucking porn. No, I say, no, it's not porn. So anyway, I get back to LA, and about a week or two later, I throw in this DVD. I make sure the wife is not here, whatever. I throw in the DVD. Por si acaso, bro. All of a sudden, I see people tossing salad. I don't know. So, you know, I look at the DVD, and it's The Secret, you know, and the laws of attraction and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm listening to this, and for some reason, again, I'm not a religious guy, and if you know anything about The Secret, it has nothing to do with religion. But for some reason, that made sense to me. And it really made sense in everything that we do. For example, you guys know this, being in this business. Hey, how's it going? Oh, man, it's been kind of slow, bro, you know? You got to take that out of your vocabulary. Because even though we can acknowledge that it's slow, the fact that you said it and it came out of your mouth, you've now given it so much fucking power. So you have to work on word manipulation. And how's it going? It's going good. It's going good. Even though it ain't, but it can't come out of your mouth. So I started to notice that, I'm always talking like that. And I got friends that are dealing with some negative shit, and I'm always there listening. And now their negativity is in this law of attraction. I'm attracting this thing. And it just made sense, bro. It just made sense. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me try this. I started applying what it would say. I started doing the dream board and all this stuff, man. And about 2 weeks later, at that time, we're talking 2008. So at that time, a good week for me was one audition. Maybe two. If I got 2 auditions in a week, oh my God, bro, it's party time. That's how it was for me during that time. That week, I ended up getting, I think it was 7 or 8 auditions.
Wow.
Bro, I cannot tell you that it's because of The Secret or the laws of attraction. What I can tell you is that's what I was applying during that time. And these are the changes that happened during that time. Now, something in me changed to where I wasn't doubting anymore. I would walk out of the room and say, I booked that. I would call my agent. Yeah, they'll be calling you. I booked it. Dude, I don't know where that confidence, where that came from. And sure enough, bro, they were calling. And this is the craziest audition that happened that week. I get something for a show called Cold Case. And it was ¿cómo se llaman esa gente que they work in a shipyard? Longshoremen?
Longshoremen, yeah.
Longshoremen, right? So my agent gets this thing for an audition and sends it to me the night before. I work on it. I'm looking at the shit. I'm like, dude, I'm not even the type, bro. I don't look like a fucking longshoreman. And the next morning, I think he calls the office to verify the time or something. And they said, we didn't request to see Roberto. And he was like, we got the information from you. I got the email from your office for the audition. He's like, Roberto doesn't even look like a longshoreman. No, we didn't request him. I don't know what that fucking shit was about. But my mind was, no problem, because I got other shit going on. It didn't affect me in any way where normally it would, because it's how many auditions do we get, bro? And when they cancel, when you're like, fuck, man, that type. None of that. They call him back about 45 minutes later. And she said, you know what? I want to see Roberto. Bring Roberto in. I walk in for that longshoreman role. Caballo, I walk in. And I'm looking at these fuckers that are sitting there, and I'm like, dude, I would cast this dude. This dude looks like he's on his lunch break from the shipyard. They looked the part. They were white guys with the white beards and the big shirts, and they beautifully fit the part. And I'm like, bro, I don't know. You don't pinto nada aquí, bro. What is happening here? So I go in, and this was for the producer call. I walk in, y caballo, I look, and it's fucking Andy Garcia. Wow. And it was Andy Garcia's first time ever directing a TV episode. So, dude, I walk in and I'm like, oh, shit. Fuck, for us, Andy Garcia, it's a big, for us, it's a big deal, Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, shit. And he was like, how you doing? I was like, yeah, I'm good, man. Are you ready? And anytime I hear you're ready, I'm like, oh my God, don't say tossing salad. But he said, are you ready?
Line.
I said,
the line is like, wow, look at the sunrise. It's like, oh my God,
look at the sunrise.
Look at that tossing salad.
Like salad. I don't know. Oh my God, this show went off the rails. But anyway, so I do this quick audition, and again, it's in front of the producers, and then it's a real quick scene. It's a co-star. And then he says, where are you from? And I said, I'm Cuban and I'm from Miami. Bro, that 2-minute audition turned into a 15-minute conversation, because if you know anything about Andy Garcia and you're Cuban and your history, he wants to know it. And when he heard about my situation, my dad was on the Olympic team in Cuba, and how we got out and our family got separated, all these things. Caballo, the white producers were in tears listening to this story. So, Andy was like, nah, guys, don't even, this is a typical Cuban story. It's just what it is. And I go to shake his hand, man, and he fucking like hugs me, bro. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. I'm ready to leave and call my family back. Yo, you ain't gonna believe this, that type of shit. I did not look the part, bro. I'm telling you. I booked it. Okay. That is now, out of the 7 auditions I had, possibly 8, I booked 4 that week.
Oh, no.
That one, crazy, bro, crazy. It was just crazy. And I ended up having to turn that one down because it conflicted with one of the other ones that I had booked. And that other one was for a pilot that was probably not going to go anywhere. I'm telling my agent, like, yo, the hell with the pilot. I want to do this with Andy Garcia because this is a big deal to me. And he was like, no, bro, you can't do that. You can't say yes to somebody and then all of a sudden say no, because these people talk, and next thing you know, that's going to affect me. So he was right. But I ended up having to turn that down. But anyway, when we're talking about what changed for me, that was a major thing in 2008, brother. And that year, I booked 18 jobs in 2008. Look it up on IMDb, bro. It was the craziest thing. Ahora, Roberto, can you tell me that that was because of The Secret? I can't prove it, but I can tell you that that's what I was doing, man. And I was applying it like a motherfucker, and I was doing everything that I was supposed to do, and that's what happened. And that got me going, you know. And sure, sometimes I forget some of those fundamentals, but you know, when I notice that, coño, things have slowed down a little bit, I go back and just refresh and get my mind right, get my mind back on track.
Bro, George and I have talked about this before too. There are certain times that we look back on our lives and we see when we're at, you know how you're talking about going up and down, when we're at here, what were the things that were happening when you were up here? You know, the way that you're thinking mentally, the way you're speaking, you know, all these the way, are you exercising? Are you taking care of your body? Are you eating right? You know, all these types of things that we take for granted sometimes. When we're riding that wave, you know, because you want to be in the moment while you're riding it, you forget to look at what's happening around your life and absorb it and be, you know, present and really think about all that stuff. Yeah, man, that is unbelievable. And McConaughey, he was talking to, I forget one of these podcasts, but the guy goes, the ironic comedy of life is that life makes sense backwards, but must be lived forwards. You know, so everything, like how we ended up right here today, us three talking to one another, all makes sense if you connect the dots. However, while it was happening, it didn't make sense. So hindsight is 20/20, right? How we ended up here. We're all from Miami. I met you at the Dexter premiere. That was something else. Like you. So I said, "Que hola, hacer" to somebody, and you looked at me. I'll never forget. You looked at me. You're like, "You from Miami?"
You're Cuban, right?
Like, yeah.
I gotta hear the story. I gotta hear the story. I was asking before, like, how'd you guys meet?
It was in New York at the Dexter premiere because my guy right here, which we haven't even really talked about, and we're gonna get to the wrapping up in a second, but let me give you your flowers. First off, I didn't even recognize you from your Too Fast, Too Furious until I looked on the IMDb and we saw the pictures, and I was like, holy shit, this is a legend, bro. For us, Too Fast, Too Furious growing up is literally a goated Miami movie. You are in that ilk. For us, the Andy Garcias, the Yul Vasquez, like all these people that we've seen that really come through, like that is sincerely something we look up to. We really respect you, bro. Like I sincerely respect you and your career and what you've been able to do. And what you did on Dexter, I want to give you your flowers as well. Handsome Tony Ferrer. You know, that was in the highlight in the highlight arena. Did you guys shoot it at the highlight arena in Miami? Is that where you guys shot?
In the actual highlight. Highlight. Yeah.
My dad used to go and watch that. He used to play highlight, you know, amateur highlight, and when he saw that, he's like, "Oh my God, I know exactly where that is." Bro, it was incredible. I don't want to just say that you were great because I think that's just kind of like a broad way of giving you your flowers. But sincerely, in that role, you were so. I really admire your calmness in what you do and your ability to plant your feet. A lot of people, I feel like I'm very shifty sometimes, and you were just so planted in what you were doing. Everything was very intentional. And that speaks to that confidence of you just, again, I know you've been doing it for a minute, but it was something that I looked at and I go, damn, that dude is very still and intentional in the way he's going about it. And that lent itself to him being this fucking, you know, the guy that he was. And how he ended up is how he ended up. I also love that. No. I love how it finished. Anyways, so you did great.
Thank you.
And the way that we met, George, was at the Dexter premiere in New York. I forget who I was talking to, but you were talking to somebody and I started talking to somebody else, and I was like, "Oh, que hola, I said it," and you're like, "You Cuban?" And I go, "Yeah, bro, I'm from Miami." And then we literally maybe said 3 or 4 sentences to one another. We really didn't say much because at those things you kind of, you know, give pleasantries, you say hello, and we were in the theater. A lot of moving pieces. But when you meet somebody else from Miami, is in this industry, to me, it always like
brings you home.
Bro, I don't know how to describe it, man. It just
there's 3 of us. There's 3 of us. Porque recuérdate, Carlos Méndez,
yes,
the guy that plays the drug lord, is Cuban, and he was there as well.
Yep. He's Eva
He was there
Mendes'
as well.
brother. Eva Mendes' brother. I found that
Yeah.
out.
Even the way you
after
just
the
said
fact.
right now, recuérdate, like I felt like I was
Yeah.
at someone's house. Like it feels
Yeah.
so familiar. I'm Colombian, but I mean I've been here since I was 5, and
Yeah.
it's just I admire the Cuban culture. I mean I love being Hispanic, and it's like he says, it's like it brings you back to like your core, you know. And there's nothing more familiar and warming than that, heartwarming. So.
Mira, I'll share something with you because I mentioned it this morning. I had an interview this morning, and I'll share this with the younger generation, and you guys take it for what it's worth. When I first started going to auditions, I had 2 kids, regular bills like everybody else, bro. And you go into an audition, you're sitting in fucking traffic for fucking 2 hours. You get there, you got to memorize these lines. I got my fucking water bill I got to pay, and I got all these fucking things. And I think that when you walk into a room, I really believe that they sense that. They sense the desperation. They sense the frustration. No matter how cool you think you are, no matter how well you think you're playing it off, they sense that. And I do want to say that for me, a major shift, like this past year, bro, I was literally recurring on 4 TV shows at the same time.
Whoa.
I was recurring on BMF in Atlanta. I was recurring on Palm Royale. I'm recurring on Dexter, and then I was recurring on Running Point, which just started playing on Netflix. An incredible year. But it is, being honest with you, it is the year that I've said no to the most projects ever. The point that I'm trying to make is the same way they feel that desperation when you walk in, you gotta somehow get, and this is tricky, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. You gotta get to a point where it doesn't matter that much to you. And don't misunderstand, because people misunderstand me sometimes. It matters a lot to me, okay? It does. This is what I do for a living. I've been doing it since 2008. But I can't give it the power that it has. Today is what, Thursday? I've got an audition. Let's say I had an audition on Monday, right? I cancel all my plans from now to Monday because I got to work on this shit. I got to sit here like this and go over it and do it and do it and do it and do it. And to be honest with you, now what I do is I get the sides today. I look at it one time. My mind now says, okay, you understand what the scene is. Okay, go on about your day. Saturday, I may take a look at it. All right, cool. And then Sunday night, I'll look at it again. Boom, shoot it Monday. That's it. And I think that when you take away that desperate power, you're free, man. You're more relaxed. Another thing that we do, and I know actors do it, is that you walk into that room and you're like, damn, what do they want, man? What are they looking for? Fuck that. That is the biggest mistake you can make. Because you don't know what they want. You know why you don't know what they want? Because they don't know what they want. So what you have to do is, this is what I do. I look at an audition like, this is not even the most important thing I'm doing today. The most important thing I'm doing today is I'm doing chest and triceps today. That's the most important thing I'm doing today. Yeah. I also have an audition. I also have an audition that I take very seriously. And when I walk into the room, or when I used to walk into that room, I would say, hey guys, how you doing? You know what? This is how I see this. This is my interpretation of this little thing you guys got going on here. I'll give you my interpretation, and when I leave, hey guys, good luck to you. Hope you find what you look. That's it. That's it, because you can't give it that much power because it drains you and they feel it. Now, when you have that type of attitude, like, listen, I'm gonna show you what I think about this scene. I'm no longer worried about what they're trying to figure out because they don't know, you know? And dude, I started to book a lot. And even something like Running Point, which is a great show with Kate Hudson, I turned that show down twice. You know, for a variety of reasons, you know, a couple of things here and there, but I was also working in Atlanta and I have an issue with my ankle, so the traveling was going to fuck me up physically. So I told them no twice. Now, back in the day, I would have thought about that. they'll never call me again. But brother, there's power in saying no. I can't explain it, bro. Why did he say no? What is he doing? Well, this and that. Well, how about this? Nah, he said no. They came back a third time, and at that point, I was like, okay, I got to take it. But the bigger point here is there's power in saying no, and there's power in not giving it power.
Yes.
If that somehow makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yes. There's a few things that rang true in my head. I read this book called The Obstacle is the Way by this guy named Ryan Holiday, who is a big Stoic philosophy kind of guy. And he has a story about Clooney in there. And when Clooney came out to LA, he was having a lot of trouble booking, a lot of trouble just booking, whatever. And at the time, he was saying, oh, it's the casting director's fault, whatever. But he was going in there thinking that they were his solution. And then Clooney switched the way that he would think to where it was, no. I am the solution that they need. I am not going in there looking for them to hire me. I'm the one who's there to solve their problems because they have a problem too. Like you just said, they don't know what they want. So I'm going in there to solve their problem. And it's not just the acting. It's, I know what I'm going to do when I'm on set. I know what I'm going to do after the show's over. I will everything, toda la deuda que tiene, I got it covered. Don't worry about it. I got it covered. And this is how I'm presenting it to you. That, and then, dude, it's like that, when you're in school or whatever and you like a girl and the girl doesn't like you. Well, I don't know, because we were talking about, your whole tossing situation earlier. So, but no, you're a married man. So, when a girl doesn't like you and then you're like, you know what? I don't like you anymore. I'm done with you. And you turn away and then she goes, wait, hold on a second. Wait, hold. I think I like you now. I think I like, it's that, it's allowing yourself to, I always say this too. I'm very happy I moved out when I did. And I was already with my now wife when I moved out. I'm very happy that I was in a relationship because I was a little bit more firm in who I was as a human. I'm still, again, you change and you know all these things about yourself and you find all these things out about yourself. However, I knew what I wasn't for anymore. I was 23 when I moved out and still pretty young looking back on it now, but I knew certain things already about myself and I'm very happy that I did. If I would have come out when I was 18, I don't know what would have happened, but it's one of those things that you got to be firm in who you are. And I think, like you said, it's part of your day. It's not your entire day. It's part of your day because life is life, dude. I think being Cuban and Colombian and immigrant and all these types of things also gave me the proper perspective. Thank God I have a great family to understand, man, I know what my kidney is that I need to survive. I talk about that a lot as well. I know what I need to survive. And acting is the second kidney, right? When you have two kidneys, your life is exponentially better. However, I know what I need that's true to me. I understand what that doesn't mean that it means any less to me. It just means that you put it in the proper bucket.
It's not everything
of your life. Yeah, you put it in your proper bucket.
Yeah.
It has to be. It can't consume you. It can't. All right, let's wrap this thing up. You ready to wrap this thing up, GM?
Let's do it.
So we have two questions. Robertico, we have two questions that we end off. I'll ask mine and then GM will ask his. Okay. So my question, I've always had this idea of a steel tissue, and I'll tell you what that means right now. So a tissue to me can satisfy two things. It can wipe away a drop of blood or it can wipe away a tear from the eye. So a steel tissue to me is resilience and vulnerability. So these answers can be as shallow or as deep as you want to go. But tell us what in your life has made you both resilient and vulnerable, just because I think being in this industry, you kind of have to have both of those things. Just being in life, like the industry, in life in general, you have to have both those things. So just talk about a moment in life that has made you equally resilient and vulnerable. And it can be two separate moments, like I said, deep or shallow, however you want to answer.
Well, that's kind of deep. As far as being resilient, I think there's not one particular thing that has done that. I've always been like that. I've always, when I put my mind into something, I stick with it. I'm always willing to adapt, willing to change. So those are things that were embedded in me as a child, through my experience, growing up. And I think another thing too is somebody said this a couple of years back. It was an actor. His name was Christian Keys. And he said something that has always stuck with me. And it doesn't have to be the acting. It can be anything in life. And he said, when the ending comes for you, however that comes, and you're at those pearly gates or whatever you believe in, you're at that threshold of crossing over, make sure that your tank is on empty. Don't fucking show up at the pearly gates with a fucking half full tank, because that means you didn't go after everything. You didn't live life to the fullest. Make sure that when you get there, dude, you're on fucking E, because that means that you went after everything, and you tried everything, and we're here wherever this here is, and for such a short time, go for it. Go for those things that challenge you. For me, it was the acting. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'll figure it out. At some point, what's the biggest fear that I've got? Well, oh my God, getting on stage and trying to memorize them lines, and there's nobody to say cut, and you're on stage, and if you forget, doing theater. So that was a challenge for me, and I went after that, and I conquered that as well. What's another thing? Why don't you create your own stories, your own projects? I'm not a writer. So what did I do? I wrote. And the first thing that I wrote was a short film called The Terms of Us, which is the search for my mom, whom I hadn't seen for 11 years. And then I went to search for her finally, and then I found her. And when I found her, it was too late. So I wanted to tell that story about those 3 weeks that I was searching for my mom. And I wasn't a writer, but I had a story to tell. It was emotional. It took me forever to write it, but then I finally wrote it. And I said, well, I've never directed before, but I was an acting coach for many years, so I can direct actors. Okay, but then the cinematography and the frame sizes, well, you don't need to know all that shit. You need to hire somebody that knows that shit, and then you just say, this is what I want, make it happen. And I did it. And then I said, well, okay, what's another challenge? Write something else, this time a comedy about heroes, about superheroes. I did that. Now my new challenge is, can I do a romantic comedy? Let me write that. And that's what what I'm writing right now in the cafe. So for me, I don't know if it's really answering your question, but it's seeking challenges that will allow me, for when it's all said and done, to arrive wherever it is, and I'm on fucking E. And that's the journey that I'm on right now.
Damn. Damn. That was, yeah. And yeah, that just resonated, because we know people who have left too early from this life, that didn't have that opportunity. So yeah, for sure. GM, take us home, brother.
First, before it's simple. It's simple. I know the quietness stirs the pot and raises the attention. But before I ask my question, I definitely want to say thank you for your time. And I think this is one of the ones that I think really puts things back in perspective. I mean, you spoke a lot of things that Isaac and I think have really been focusing on now. It's, for the longest, we've all had dreams and a vision to do what we want to do and aspirations. But I think now it's a coming of age that you got to plan these things. We can't just dream on them, right? Because they're just going to be dreams at the end of the day. So I just want to say thank you for that. Just instilling your wisdom, because knowledge and wisdom are two different things, and you definitely gave us a lot of wisdom. So thank you for that.
Before you ask your question, because of what you just said, there's a quote that I have on my email that I've had for years, and it goes to what you're saying. And it says, vision without action is meaningless. So yes, it's cool to have a vision, but you got to apply it, man. Try. try. You'll be surprised, man, how you'll try to do something and maybe you don't know how it's going to land, even creating your own project. But as soon as you get that ball rolling, all of a sudden people are coming in. They're like, Roberto, I know how to do it. Let me help you with this. And all of a sudden, now this thing has created a life of its own and it's happening. So yeah, it's like to what you're saying, bro. Whatever vision you have, man, you just have to apply and just try.
Just take risks. Like you said, that thing on your shoulder, you know. I was
Yeah.
talking about Isaac before, and I'll leave it at this, that came up with a random quote in the moment. He calls them George Michael isms, but I said, ego has the best camouflage. You know, a lot of times we think ego is, I was talking to my dad about this, and I told him I was speaking with Isaac about it, that a lot of times we think ego is pompous and, you know, arrogant, but a lot of times it could be the opposite, right? It can be very calming in a sense that it keeps you in your comfort zone. So sometimes we need to just throw caution to the wind and listen to that thing on our other shoulder and just go for it. And then take it as it comes, like you said. But mine is more fill in the blank, and it is very simple. It can be profound as much as you want it to be, wherever you are in life, or just where life has led you to, or it can be very simple as well. It's up to you. And it's, my name is blank, and I am blank.
My name is Roberto y soy un come mierda. No, I mean, look, it was too easy. It was too easy. It was just too easy. You threw me a lob and I had to dunk it. Listen.
The boy hit a windmill with it.
There is some truth to what I just said, actually, now that I think about it. You know, it's you can't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the reason why I live where I live, and I'm not big on the LA life because LA to me there's a lot of fakeness. I hate talking to somebody and say, hey, how you doing, man? You know, long time no see. Yeah, man, I've been working on this project and working on this, and I'm like, yo, man, I asked you how you're doing. You know, I don't care about none of this other stuff. This is what we do for a living, but who cares? You know, how you doing? You know, so we can't take ourselves too seriously when it comes to this. I think also, man, and this would be another complete episode, but we need to pay attention to our mental health. You know, you see somebody and you think that they're doing well. Oh my God, that dude works all the time, man. You know, he's doing this. But I can tell you that as much as I work and as busy as I am, you know, without getting too deep into it, because it's a whole 2 hours, but without getting too deep, I was at a point where I was the most unhappiest person that existed, you know? And I think that started for me in 2018 when I did that film about my mom, because although I did that film hoping that it would be cathartic and help me come to terms with why didn't I seek out my mom in 11 years? Why was I so angry and frustrated and you know, not reach out to her? And then when finally, you know, my best friend in Miami, his mom was going through some issues. She was in hospice, and that made me reevaluate my relationship with my mom. I said, you know what, man, life is short. I got to fix this. And then I get somebody from Miami-Dade, down in Miami, a police officer, they're a friend of ours. Yo, man, I want to find my mom. I haven't seen her in 11 years. Okay, brother, dame ahí el nombre y... ¿Qué me pidió? El día de nacimiento, her date of birth. Okay, brother. And then a week later, I get not the full 11 years, but I get the first 5 of those 11 years. And I found out that my mom was homeless. And I can't tell you how that affected me, right? But then I'm able to find her social security number, and I send the social security because now he can get some more information. And then, you know, one day I'm going to set. I'm shooting in Ventura County, and I'm on the 101, you know. And my best friend calls me, you know, and he says, "Yo, bro, I need to talk to you. I forgot what he wanted to talk about. I got to talk to you. I said, brother, I'm driving. Pull over. I got to talk to you. I'm like, fuck, man. I pull over on the 101. Y me dice, caballo, we found your mom. Bro, after 11 years to finally know, I knew she was in Miami, but I didn't know where, And to find her, I get crazy. I get emotional. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta call my brother. Oh my God, I gotta call my cousin. So, loco, la china esa. And it's this whole, and he's trying to get my attention, but I'm so excited. And then finally, he's like, yo, listen to me. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry, bro. I got excited. What's up? This is great news. And he was like, yo, we found your mom, but she died 6 months ago. And brother, let me tell you, my world ended as I knew it. Because for a son to be at that point, it just fucked me up. So I did The Terms of Us. That film ended up, it got nominated for an Imagen Award. It won a ton of awards. It was almost in every festival you can think of. It was a major success. And people were saying, this is good for you because it'll be cathartic, And dude, it had the opposite effect. Because now in post-production, all I'm doing is reliving this. And now I'm doing the Q&As and I'm on stage talking about the film and the moments. And it wasn't until I went down to the University of Miami. There's an organization called NAMI, which is the largest organization in the country for mental health. And they had heard about my film and they invited me down. I was the only filmmaker. So I go to the University of Miami and dude, we show the film. And now I get up for the Q&A. And dude, I'm looking out at the audience, bro. And this ain't my crowd, bro. These are all fucking doctors and shit. Like, they ain't no actors and directors here. These are people out of my... And I start talking about the film. And that was the first time that in the middle of talking about the film, I stopped and I said, listen, I want to say something that I've never told anybody, but I was crying in the car. I want to cry here. And I want to cry the moment I walk off the stage. And I think that was me saying that. I think it was the first time that my wife, she wasn't there, so she saw the playback 2 days later, and she was like, what the fuck was that? Like, what? She didn't know, because I would hide it, and if you know me, and Isaac, you'll get to know me, and maybe you'll meet people, you'll ask them, and they'll tell you. The running joke in LA is Roberto at a premiere. Because Roberto at a red carpet, when he's on the red carpet, he's already looking at the exit sign that's at the edge of the thing there so he can leave. And, the publicist that brings me there, she'll usually go to the back to make sure that she catches me before I run out. And that's the running joke, is that Roberto is Mr. Anti. He takes a couple of pictures.
It's literally running. You're literally running.
Wow. But what people don't know until recently was that I was in the car crying. And I didn't want to be here in what life is anymore. You know what I'm saying? And people that knew me and saw me joking about LeBron James and, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. But then 2 seconds later, I want to blow my brains out. That's some serious shit. So I think, maybe I went off the tangent here with your question, but I think it's very important that we ask people, how you doing? And don't think that because they got all this bullshit going on that they're happy, because that's most of the time that's not the case. So I think we need to, hopefully do a better job of, our friends, people that we know, or people that you come across in the street and they treat you like something and, you want to cuss them out. You don't know what they're going through. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense and if that means anything to anybody, but I think we just need to bring more light to mental health, man. And with men especially, because I think men, there's a stigma with it. And we need to feel comfortable in saying, hey man, I got a problem. Like I had to do that. I had to say to the VA, which is where I go, I've got a problem, and we need help in getting there.
That's so crazy you're talking about that, because not to overly do it, but I was talking to my dad last night about that because we were just talking about a kid that went to our school that he took his life. This was years ago, and I was telling my mom, I was like, women, we're not asking you to understand the man's struggle, but just be aware that there is one. And there's a lot of people that don't talk, a lot of men that don't talk to people and don't have that support system because, even though we're already past the era of machismo, like it's still lingering of like, don't talk about stuff, like suck it up, throw some dirt on it. And to reel it back in, it really clicked with me. I mean, we've always had a very good support system with family and my best friends, Isaac being one of them. And I mentioned it from time to time to people, and I mentioned to my dad yesterday where 6 months ago, Isaac asked me when things were like really going well for me DJing wise, and he was like, hey man, how you been? How are things doing? I was like, bro, like getting gigs, bro. I'm really putting myself out there, like making a lot of music. And he interrupted me like very abruptly. And he's like, no. How are you doing? And then I was like, okay. I get it now. I really get it now. Sorry for the lighting too, because I do not want to get up and turn this light on. Because, I mean, this has been a very profound episode, Roberto. And
yeah, it kind of ended on a down note. We need to go back. Yo, tell me. I got it. Tell me. I got it. Tell me your tossing salad story. Go ahead. Tell me.
No. That's for part two.
Yeah, that's part two. And I never wanted to say this, but you brought it out of me. That's probably the best response I've gotten as of yet every episode we've done so far. And I've never wanted to pick. It's like picking your favorite child, right? Because to us it's like our baby that we're slowly letting it grow up. And this has probably been the best response I've gotten since we started this. And
thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. That was beyond what you can understand. It's so funny because as you were talking about everything you're going with your mom, my mom, I see her shadow on the door because she's listening in to see if we're done yet or not. So, yeah, just thank you, bro.
For real.
Sometimes you just have to.
Struck a chord for sure.
Yeah. And George and I talk about this too with our boys. How it's hard to say you're not okay sometimes, but we have in the past couple of years, I'll reach out to him and be like, yo, I'm not really doing as hot as I usually am. So I think it's very important. That was really that was perfect. That wasn't a down at all. That was when you go down, my wife always says, if you're down, that just means that your capacity to feel up is bigger. So it's not like you're going down. It's just your capacity is growing. It's profundity doesn't mean that it's a downer. So anyways, just thank you so much. And I don't want to cut this short because I could keep going for hours, but I do have to go. So before we go, Roberto, this is your time. You have that camera in front of you. You have all the cameras around you and the millions of people that are listening and following. For you to say, obviously you just spread that beautiful message, but if there's anything you want to plug, anything you want to promote, anything at all, this is your time to say whatever you want to the millions of people that are listening.
Wow. Okay. Well, I don't know. Work-wise, please watch Running Point. It's on Netflix right now. It's they just got renewed for season 2 after like a week of airing, so we're excited about that. We just finished our second season on Palm Royale. Working with Carol Burnett, it's fucking incredible. And then BMF, the series in Atlanta that I'm in, that comes back June 6th. And yeah, work-wise, that's it. And then personally, I just want to continue doing what makes me happy. I'm a big Bruce Lee collector, so that brings me peace every time I find some rare item or something like that. So I think that's important, is that you find something that brings you joy outside of this thing that we do, and that'll keep you balanced. But other than that, man, if you guys want to follow me or whatever, man, I'm still the only person on MySpace. I don't care. Don't judge me. I don't give a fuck.
love
I'm the only
MySpace.
person there, but I'm going to stay there because I know people are going to come back at some point to MySpace. And then I'm also on Instagram under official Roberto Sanchez.
We'll put everything in the description. We'll put it in the description. Roberto, thank you for your time, man. Honestly,
Yeah, thank you so much. This was beautiful.
Couldn't leave
thank
my
you,
seat.
Thank
Look at
you,
this.
thank you. I know.
Thank you,
in the
guys.
darkness.
Appreciate
This is the Café con Podcast.